Hi folks, so today I'm going to show you how to start a petit point. It can be kind of intimidating when you get the kit and there's like a blank gauze and a chart and thread and what goes where and So I'm just going to show you how I start them, and just a little bit of time and organization at the beginning is really helpful and makes the whole project go smoothly. So just going to show you that, and I hope it's helpful. Okay, let's get going. Alrighty, so this is a kit from Bobby's Shoemaker, sorry. I can't pronounce your name properly. And it's for a Clooney Animals rug, which I got from Bobby's website, microstitchery.com. And I'm just going to show you how I prepare things to get to the fun part. So Bobby's put all these instructions and information in this kit, and we've got the gauze. She provides the thread and needles, and then this is the chart, and there's 4 pages to it. So the first thing I do is I lay out all the pages so that I can see the order that things are going to be done in, and I can organize myself. So I see that's how it's going to lay out. She doesn't say to do this, but I just do it to help myself stay organized. So the chart is 4 pages, and it lays out like that. So I just mark down on every page where it's going to sit in the final piece, if that makes sense. So that when I'm working on a particular chart, I'm making sure that I'm doing it in the right orientation. Alrighty, so that's the first thing I do. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is make a frame to put the gauze on. Now you want to have at least 1/2 inch so you can attach the gauze to the frame. And I just made this out of, cardboard box kind of thing, just cut open a little window. And then I've taped over the edges so that the thread doesn't get caught on any little ripped bits of cardboard. Now, one of the things I noticed for the first rug that I did was it was really badly distorted from my stitching. I was probably pulling too tight. So what I'm gonna do is, I've got this nice selvage here, this straight line. I'm also gonna take a little line of thread and just very carefully go along in one row. And if I can keep those 2 lines lined up square, then that should hopefully keep me from distorting things. So I'm gonna go do that right now, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I've stitched along with some red thread so that I can try and keep this nice and orderly. So now I want to attach the gauze onto the frame. Now the first time I did this, I just used tape, and then the gauze would kind of slide out, and I think that's how things got distorted. After a while, I stapled the gauze onto the frame, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that right off the bat this time. I want to do enough staples so that it's not pulling too much in any one spot. So I don't want to make big holes. I want this to be kind of tight. This is where I want to make sure that things stay nice and straight. So I think that's where I got into trouble last time. Yeah, this is easier said than done. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going around, and then I'll show you when that's done. Alrighty, so I had to pull up one of those side end staples and redo that. I found going along the long edges first and then doing these after seemed to work better. But that looks pretty square to me, so hopefully that'll be more successful keeping that square. So now what I want to do, because these guys are for sure going to catch threads along the way, is I'm just going to put a little bit more tape around the staples and on top of the edges here, just to really make things secure and smooth so that things don't get caught. So Sorry, that's kind of loud. So I'm just gonna do that and I'll get back to you when that's done. Alrighty, so there we are. We've got tape all around, so hopefully that's held in good and tight. So that's our gauze all ready to go. Oh, one last thing. I always put these little lines here, and these will give me the direction of the stitches, because as I'm moving the frame around, and the stitches are so small, they just look like little dots. Sometimes I can get confused as to which way the stitches are going. So this just kind of reminds me as I'm going, because before I thought to do this, I did have to rip out a little bit. So that's another little sneaky trick that I do. Okay, thank you. All right, so the last thing is to sort out our threads. So we've got the nice bunch of threads here and our needles. And we've got written down here the symbols that are going to be used in the charts, what the thread color is if you have to go to the store and get some more, and how many threads are in the hank here. So this is just a matter of figuring out what matches with what, and Bobby's got some good descriptions here to go by, and then this is also helpful, like you know that this big chunk is the antique blue very dark because it's the biggest number of strands and it's the most amount of thread. But to keep it all organized, I like to do a little thing at the edge here, and again I'm going to use some tape. Okay, so I've taped that, and now a little hole punchy dude, and I've got 14 colors to do. Alrighty, so now I've got my holes in, and I'm gonna just put the symbol beside each hole so that I don't have to think much when I'm actually doing this. So I'm just gonna keep doing that all the way down. Alrighty, so I've finished doing the holes and writing the symbols, and I've also done the same on the other side. Exact same, just mirrored over. And the reason for that is that we get multiple strands of a lot of these threads. And what I'm gonna do is put the extras over on one side, and then the ones that I'm actually using to work with over here. That's because you only use one strand off of these, and each of these threads has 6 strands. So I'm going to separate out those 6 and then put them into the appropriate hole here, but then any extra strands I'm going to put on this side here. That might sound a little confusing, but you'll get it when you see what I'm doing. Okay, I'll be right back. I should probably show you how I figure out what color is what and what symbol stands for what. So separate them all from their hanks, and generally just start with the most obvious ones first. Like I know black is black, so that's gonna be the big black square there. So I'm gonna start with just putting them all on this side, and then I'll remove them and separate them out for the other side. And I know that white is white, and my hands are shaky. Okay, there we go. And then it's just a matter of looking at what the options are. Some things are going to be a little tricksy, like red versus terracotta. This, I want to say, is red. And this, I want to say, is terracotta. And we need more terracotta. It says 16 strands, so I think by strands they mean like the actual plies. And then only need 5 of red. So there's fewer of this than there are this. This looks browner. I'm gonna call this terracotta, and that's the little plus sign. So essentially it's just going through and kind of looking at the colors that you have, the amounts that you have, and then just kind of figuring out what is what. So I'm gonna keep doing that and put them over here, and then I'll show you how I move them from this side over to that side. Alrighty, so there we are. Got all of our threads sorted. It was kind of fiddly figuring out the differences between the gold, tan, taupe, and yellow, but Bobby's put the colors there and also using the number of threads that helped sort things out. Now, one of the things I noticed while I was doing this, that I'm getting some ink on my fingers, which isn't a huge deal for my fingers, but I really don't want ink getting on the threads. So I'm just gonna cover those up. So I'm going to do that on the other side as well. All right. I'll just do that and then punch another couple holes. There we go. All right. So I'll show you how we then move things from here to there to keep everything nice and organized. So let's use one of these blue ones here. So just grab that and you can just kind of pull it through. And these are a good length, but if you want to cut them in half, you can do that. I always do the background last, and there's a lot of it, so I don't cut the background ones short. But if you're doing ones that probably like these smaller colors that might just be a little bit here or there, you might want to cut them in half first. Alrighty, so now it's just a matter of separating them. And then doing like you did on the other side over here with the big strands. I'm just going to do it with the small strands. One. Ta-da! It's a little fiddly. But if you don't like fiddly, don't do Petit point. Okay, 2. All right, now just like 100 more to go. So I'm gonna do that so that at least one strand of everything here is put here, and then when I'm working, I'll just be able to just pull out and just grab the one that I want, and it'll be all ready to go. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to do all this stuff, but it really helps keep things organized and straightforward so that when you're on to the fun stuff, you can just keep going. Back in a bit. Alrighty, so there we are. We've got one strand of every color separated into its 6 ply strands over here. Hi, I'm doing a video. And then these are empty because they only came with the one strand, but these are my extras. So I've got my, yes, okay, hello. So I've got my gauze all set to go. I've got my thread all set to go, and I've got my charts, and I know what order to do them. And this says it's finished going to be 3.9 inches by 5.2 inches. So if you've never done Petit point before, Petit point is like cross stitch in that it follows a counted colored chart. It's like needlepoint in the way that you work it. And unlike cross stitch, you don't find the center and then work out from there, because I mean, trying to find the, oh my god, what a nightmare. Trying to find the center of that. So we just kind of start at the corner. So it's going to be finished. It's going to be within that length and within this width. So if I start like right there, which would be this corner, if I start there and put it here, then work my way along, kind of one page, second page, third page, fourth page, that's how I'll work it. So, and then starting it is just kind of like you do with cross stitch, where you just kind of hold your tail until you work your first row, and then from then on in, you just kind of work it into the back. So I think that's about it. So that's kind of how you get yourself organized to start a Petit point. So I'm gonna go do this, and I hope this has been useful for you, and happy making. Thank you for watching the video today, guys. I hope you found it helpful, and I'd encourage you to like and subscribe and share and all that kind of good stuff if you enjoyed the video, and check out some of my other ones if you're interested. Have a great day and happy making. Bye.